Hi, my name's Hannah. Now, be honest, have you ever been given a jumper by your granny that you think you're never going to wear? It's stayed in your closet for ages and you just don't have the heart to throw it away. Well, this is a really great way to recycle those jumpers. This is a Christmas jumper stocking. Now, I've got an old cardigan here that I got from a charity shop and I've already cut it to pieces. As you can see, it's kind of half there and half not. But it's a really great Christmassy pattern. So I'm going to use it to show you how to make the Christmas jumper stocking. So first things first, you can see that it's got a great pattern there. So if you go to the Red online website, you can get the pattern for the stocking from there. It's really good to sort of look at the design of your jumper before you decide where you're going to cut out. As you can see on this jumper, there's some really nice green Christmassy patterns woven into it. So I'm just going to look and see where I want to place my stocking pattern. Now, on some jumpers they might have pockets or they might have really nice button details, but on this jumper it's really about the pattern that's on the jumper. And then we've got our fold over shape, which we want to use at the end of the jumper, basically because it's already been sewn up at the end, so we just want to reuse that so it makes less work for us in the long run. So now I've decided roughly where I want to have my pattern pieces. I'm going to take those off and just remember where they are and turn the jumper inside out. And the reason why we're turning it inside out is it doesn't really matter if you mark it with a pen, you're not ever going to see it in the long run. So we place our pattern piece back on top of our jumper and we place the fold over on top of the jumper as well. And then I'm just using a thick black marker pen. You can use anything that shows up. You just want to draw around really roughly around the outside of the pattern. Now this is quite a dark jumper, so it's quite hard to see it. Sometimes it's really good to use chalk or basically anything that you can see the outline that you're drawing on. Now you don't want to get too close to the edge either, because we need about 1 centimetre to 1.5 centimetres seam allowance for these. So I can see this pattern around the outside here, and then I'm going to do the same for the fold over, just roughly draw around the outside. And then I need to pin those down, so I'm pinning the front and the back together, so I have 2 layers when I cut them out. So I'm pinning sideways and I'm pinning inwards into the actual stocking itself. And the reason I'm pinning this way instead of across is that when you're actually sewing this way, you can actually sew straight over the pins. They don't, funnily enough, get caught in the sewing machine, and it just makes it a lot easier and quicker. So you just need to pin all the way around, and as you'll notice, I'm just pinning to the top of the stocking because the top will remain open and we won't stitch that closed. Again, I just leave that open there and just pin down the sides because the top and the bottom will remain open. And last one going in there. So now we need to cut out our pattern. So you need to leave about 1 centimetre to 1.5 centimetres around the outside of the pattern. And it actually feels really quite good cutting up a jumper, weirdly. So if you just cut straight down and just get rid of those ends, you're never going to use them. Just chuck them straight in the bin. So that is our fold over. And then we just want to cut out our stocking shape. Yeah, there's something very satisfying about cutting out a jumper. Again, get rid of that old piece of arm. Just cut all the way down. And here I'm using some quite sharp fabric scissors. You're going to need to get yourself a pair of fabric scissors to cut through this woolen sort of fabric because it is quite tough, and I think it would be quite difficult to do with a pair of normal paper scissors. And then we'll just cut the last section round here. So we've roughly got our fold over and our stocking shapes. So we need to sew down the side seams of our stocking shape, and I'm just using a red thread here so it's quite clear for you to see what I'm doing. So if you just use a straight stitch and just go all the way down. And as I mentioned, you can sew over these pins as you go, or you can remove them as you go. So now I've sewn all the way around the outside edges of the stocking pattern. I've left the top section open because obviously we need to fill our stocking with lots of lovely treats a bit later on. But for now I'm going to sew now the side seams up on the fold over. So we just need to sew down each side, leaving the middle sections open. Now I've sewn around the edge of the stocking, so there's a hole in there to fill in with all your treats and goodies a bit later on, and then I've sewn each side up of the overhang, so the fold over that goes at the top. So what we need to do is we need to turn this so it's the right way round, so you can see the nice bit of stitching across there, the nice bit of pattern across there, and then the top edge has got the sealed edge, and we need to pin this into our stocking base. So to match up the lines, as you can see there where it's sewn, the edges are sewn together, I'm going to match those with those two edges that are sewn together, and then I'm just going to pin those in like that. And then we'll do the same on the other side. So fold those open and pin them just together so the seam matches together. And then it's best to pin the front and the back sections together so things don't move around too much. So pin that front section, and then we'll pin the back section. So again, we need to sew this so there's about 1 centimetre, 1.5 centimetre seam allowance all the way around, and it's best to start at one side seam and go round again. So now we've sewn all the way around the outside, we just need to trim those edges, trim that bit of thread off, and as you can see, we've got the wrong way round of the stocking, and then the top section's the right way round, so we need to turn it inside out, or the right way round, as they say. So now you can see that our pretty Christmas jumper pattern is on the outside, and we just need to pull those sections through. Just make sure that you've got a really good toe shape in there. And as you imagine, when it's stuffed full of toys and things, the shape forms a bit better. And then we need to fold over, because now you can see that the correct side of this is facing downwards and the correct side is facing outwards, which is lovely. And you can do loads of things to these stockings. You can sort of decorate them with ribbons and different types of trims. I'm just going to finish off my stocking by adding a little loop in the top there so we can hang it. I've got this lovely green velvet ribbon, so I'm just going to cut off a section of that, and then I'm going to make it into a loop, and then find that side seam again, the inside side seam, and I'm just going to pin that into place. So they're doubled up, and then I'm going to stitch over that so that stays in place. And again, you're going to really have to lift that foot up with the machine. So we just need to sew a straight line across and just go backwards again on that, and then just pull that out. Again, being really careful. And just remove that pin. And then our loop is in place, and you just want to trim those ends off. And so our loop is in place, And then we just need to fill our stocking with lovely treats. I think I'm going to put an orange at the bottom of mine and maybe some chocolate in there and a diamond ring.